Hello everyone, this is Kadir. Welcome to my Mindtree YouTube channel. Today I am going to talk about AngularJS and its features. So AngularJS, a JavaScript MVW framework built and maintained by Google. It gives highly structured approach to developing rich browser-based applications, which leads to very high productivity. So AngularJS is a new powerful client-side technology that provides a way of accomplishing really powerful things in a way that embraces and extends HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I will cover that I consider to be the most essential features and how they can help make your next web applications awesome. The main concept of AngularJS is directives, MVC and scope, data binding, dependency injection, routing, repeat and filters, factories and services. In AngularJS, first I am going to see MVC.
AngularJS incorporates basic principle
Behind the original MVC software design pattern into how it builds client-side web applications. The MVC or model view controller pattern means a lot of different things to different people. AngularJS doesn't implement MVC in the traditional sense, but rather something closer to MVVM model view model. The next one is the model. The model is simply the data in the application. The model is just plain old JavaScript objects. There is no need to inherit from framework classes, wrap it in proxy objects or use facilitator setter methods to access it. The fact that we are dealing with vanilla JavaScript is a really nice feature which cuts down on the application boilerplate. The next one is the view model. A view model is an object that provides a specific data and methods to maintain specific views. The view model is the scope object that lies within the AngularJS application. The $scope is just simple JavaScript object with a small API designed to dictate and broadcast changes to its state. The next one is the controller. The controller is responsible for setting initial state and augmenting $scope with methods to control behavior. It is worth noting that the controller doesn't store state and doesn't interact with the remote services. The next one is the view. The view is the HTML that exists after AngularJS has parsed and compiled the HTML to include rendered markup and bindings. The division creates a solid foundation to architect your application. The $scope as a reference to the data. The controller defines behavior and the view handles the layout and the handing off interaction to the controller to respond accordingly. The next one is the scope. The person controller function is a standard JavaScript object constructor. AngularJS will invoke person controller with a $scope object. In AngularJS, $scope is the application object, the owner of application variables and functions. The person controller creates two properties, variables and the scope, first name and last name. The ng model directives bind the input fields to the controller properties, first name and last name. The next one is the controller methods. The example demonstrated a controller object with two properties, last name and first name. A controller can also have methods function as object properties. The next one is the data binding. In data binding there is two data binding. The first one is a one-way data binding. Next one is two-way data binding. So the one-way data binding is the first name expression in the example above is an AngularJS data binding expression. The data binding in AngularJS synchronizes AngularJS expressions with AngularJS data. The first name is synchronized with the ngModel first name. Two-way data binding. The AngularJS two-way data binding handles the synchronization between the DOM and the model and vice versa. Here is a simple example which demonstrates how to bind an input value to an P element. The next one is the dependency injection. Dependency injection (DI) is the software design pattern that allows you to remove hard-coded dependencies between software components. It allows you to develop loosely coupled components by injecting dependencies either at compile time or runtime. AngularJS comes with a built-in dependency injection mechanism. Core types of object and components are value, factory, service, provider, constant. The modularization value is AngularJS is a simple object. It can be a number, string or JavaScript object. Values are typically used as a configuration which is injected into factories, services or controllers. The next one is the routing. Routing is provided by the ngRoute model, separate distribution. Routes are declared via the $route provider from the $route service, supporting deep linking history, bookmarks and browser back-forward buttons. Partial views are rendered by the ngView directive. The next one is the filters. Adding filters to expressions. A filter can be added to an expression with a pipe character and a filter. For the next two examples, I will use the person controller from the previous chapter. Adding filters to directives. A filter can be added to directive with a pipe character and a filter. The order by filter orders an array by an expression. In filter, there is one more example. This same works for ngRepeat loops. We can use filter to find the objects containing specific string. The syntax is ngRepeat equal to element in array, pipe character, then filter value. Next one is factories. Factories is a function that creates values. Once created, the value is reused for all services, controllers, etc. which need it injected. A factory differs from a value in that it can use a factory function to create the object it returns. The next one is the services. A service in AngularJS is a singleton JavaScript object which contains a set of functions. The functions contain whatever logic is necessary for the service to carry out its work. The last one is I'm going to see ngRepeat. The value set to ngRepeat is expected to be element in array. Then inside the tag we have access to the element variable. For each repetition, element equals corresponding value from the array. So I hope you have learned some about AngularJS. If you have any queries and doubt, please write email to help@mindtrustry.com. Thanks for watching my channel. I will see you next time. Bye.